Hello, I'm Robin. Welcome to Bookspin. Now, you may have seen a few videos floating around on BookTube recently in which people have been talking about their favourite book covers. Now, I believe the video that sparked off this trend was by Ben at Grammaticus Books, in which he discussed his top 10 favourite book covers. Shortly after he posted that video, Richard at Vintage SF made a response video in which he presented his top 10 book covers, and he encouraged others to follow suit. Now, I've watched a few videos like this now across different channels, and they're always really interesting to watch. I think it's fascinating to see what people value in a good book cover. And there are some truly stunning covers out there. So I've decided to take a shot myself. I don't have a huge library of books to choose from, but I do have a few book covers which I have a particular fondness for, and I'd love to share these with you today. So I've picked out 10 of these, mostly science fiction, but not entirely. There may be one or two surprises in this list. Now, there are a couple of rules which Richard established in his video, which I'm going to follow. The first being, for every artist represented in the list, you can only have one cover from that artist. The second rule is the book must be within your collection. And I'm also going to follow Richard's example by listing these books in chronological order of first publication. That is to say, the date when the book was first published, which is not necessarily the same as the date of the edition which I'll be showing. So let's dive in. I'm going to start off with an old book with a modern cover, an absolute classic of science fiction, The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, which was first published back in 1898, I believe. This is the 2021 Arcturus edition. Apparently, the cover design is by Peter Ridley, and the cover illustration is by Peter Gray. And I really like this cover. It's simple, it's bold, and it's striking. I really like this composition with the deadly Martian tripod in the foreground, taking center stage, with the planet in the background, and the London cityscape under siege from the Martians right at the top. And it's got sort of simple and sparing use of colours. It's almost got a kind of comic book feel to it. But I think it's really effective and compelling, and it really makes me want to reread the novel, which I suppose is what a good cover should do, right? So I really like this cover. And another absolute classic, much beloved by sci-fi readers, is The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. This book was published in 1951 originally. This is the Del Rey 1986 edition. The cover artist is Richard Courtney. And there are a ton of different editions of this book out there. Some of them are really amazing, but this is my copy and I really like it. I think it really emphasizes the horror aspect of this novel, with this bloodied hand here being slashed by the tendrils of the Triffids. It's also quite a mysterious image, I think, because it's hard to tell exactly what is going on. Is this person dead already? Are they dying? Are they trapped there? Are they trying to escape? Or is it just simply a disembodied hand? So I think this image has a story to tell, and it's an incredibly menacing image. And I do like the colours as well. Nice green cover. So one of my favourites. And next up I've got another 50s classic for you. The Death of Grass by John Christopher, published in 1956. This is the 1963 Penguin Books edition. The artist is John Griffiths. Now, Richard also included this book in his list, but he chose a different edition. I really like this edition. Again, we've got quite a sparing use of colours here. I think this image perfectly captures the harsh post-apocalyptic vibe of this novel. Again, we've got great composition as well, with this animal corpse in the foreground and the flames and the smoke of this burning cottage perfectly framing this band of survivors marching across the horizon. So it's a very bleak image for sure, but it's also aesthetically pleasing, I would say, and I really like it. So I'm going to break the trend that I've established so far by picking an obscure novel. This book is called The Coming of the Strangers by John Lymington, and it was originally published in 1961. This is the 1963 Corgi Books edition. The artist is John Kirby. So obviously we've got some kind of strange creature on the front. This is an alien invasion novel, and I think this is quite a terrifying, a menacing image. You've got this ominous red background, and this mass of claws and legs and abdomens. It's hard to tell what is going on exactly, but it looks pretty horrific. When I saw this cover, I saw this in a secondhand bookshop, and I thought, I have to pick this up. And I was so compelled by the image that I decided to read this book earlier this year, not knowing anything about it. I judged a book by its cover, and that was a mistake because the story was rubbish. Not very well written. But that doesn't stop me loving the cover art. So, for my next choice, this was a difficult one. I had to include Bruce Pennington and The Book of the New Sun, right? This is a tetralogy, a series of 4 books by Gene Wolfe. Okay, it's a difficult one because it's really hard for me to narrow this down to just one book. So I'm going to show you these 4 books. This may be cheating a little bit, but they kind of read as one single story. These books were published between 1980 and 1983, and these were published by Arrow. They're the UK edition. Like I said, the artist is Bruce Pennington. Let's take a look at some of these and see what all the fuss is about. This is the first book, The Shadow of the Torturer. They all have these wonderful wraparound illustrations. Now, this is the only series which I haven't fully read in this list. I have read The Shadow of the Torturer a while back in a different edition, but I didn't read the rest of the books. But yeah, so this is an epic science fantasy set in the far future, and I do plan to give this series a read at some point. The covers are absolutely gorgeous. So that is The Shadow of the Torturer. This is followed by The Claw of the Conciliator. We've got some absolutely lovely colours going on here. Some really impressive sort of layered brushwork and fantastical imagery. Look at that. This is book 3. This is The Sword of the Lictor. Isn't that lovely? The final book is called The Citadel of the Autarch. And again, we've got some wonderful kind of surreal imagery going on here. So if I'm going to be strict, I'm only supposed to choose one book from this list. So let's just say this book, okay? This is the fourth book. So I can say that I'm still following the rules. So yeah, I mean, just look at that. We've got this, it's really rich and compelling. We've got this kind of gothic, surreal architecture. It's very mysterious. It has a kind of dreamlike quality to it. And these books are crying out to be read, right? I really want to read these. So yeah, at some point in the future, I will definitely read this series. Okay, let's move on. The next book in the list is Dayworld by Philip Jose Farmer. This is the first UK edition by Granada. This was published in 1985, and the artist is Tim White. Now, just look at that breathtaking cover. We've got a wraparound dust jacket. So we've got some more of these amazing towers in the background here. So, yeah, obviously, this is quite a striking image, isn't it? We've got this kind of peaceful rural landscape dominated by this giant tower, which is insanely tall. And it feels kind of a strange juxtaposition, I think. And in a way, I think it does quite suit the mood of the novel, because this kind of mega structure for me symbolizes authoritarian control and a kind of psychological tension or alienation, which is quite fitting because this is a dystopian novel. It's set in a dystopian future on the theme of overpopulation. It's a beautiful illustration, I think, and a great piece of artwork, and it's also a great novel. Moving on. Spiderworld: The Tower by Colin Wilson. Okay, we've got another wraparound dust jacket. This was published in 1987. This was illustrated by Chris Foss, who is a well-known science fiction artist. I think he's best known for his kind of spaceship imagery, but obviously this is not an example of that. The publisher was Grafton, and this is an amazing post-apocalyptic novel, quite underrated, I think. Again, this book caught my attention in a secondhand bookshop. When I saw it, I just had to pick it up. It's a very mysterious and captivating image, I think, with these two skyscrapers linked with the giant spiderweb and the crumbling architecture down below. You just know that this book is promising something interesting, something sinister maybe. It's beautiful and sinister with hints of horror to come. So, and then you've got these kind of hot air balloons lining the sky. These are not just random details. It's all in tune with the world building of the story. And it's a fantastic image. It's eerie and evocative, and it fits the tone of the story very well. So let's move on. Now, the next book I've chosen is a bit of an unusual one because it's not science fiction. This is actually a non-fiction book. A History of East Asia by Charles Holcomb, published by Cambridge University Press in 2011. So this is an interesting book. I do have an interest in East Asian history, East Asian culture in general. And I love the cover on this one. This is a 1936 woodblock print by Kawase Hasui. So it's an example of Japanese woodblock art. And I do love woodblock prints in general. They're known as ukiyo-e, I think, like the traditional woodblock craft. And they contain some very vibrant and colourful scenes. In this case, we've got this kind of, again, we've got quite sparing use of images here. A snowy scene with a temple and a motor car and this figure with like garbed in traditional clothing. So I think it's a stunning image, right? I think it's got a kind of quiet, melancholic feel to it. And in a way, it kind of captures this feel of social change and development in modern Japanese history. I'm guessing that's why they chose this image for the cover. But I just really like it. And to follow this image, I've got another Japanese woodblock print. Okay. This time it's a horror book. Okay, so I've got this book here. It's called Kaiki, Uncanny Tales from Japan, Volume 3, Tales of the Metropolis, published in 2012. Now, since this is Volume 3, you're probably wondering, what do Volumes 1 and 2 look like? Well, I might as well show you since we're here. We'll come back to this book. So this is Volume 1. Another amazing woodblock print. This is Volume 2 with quite a bizarre, creepy image. But it's Volume 3, which is my favourite. So this, I looked this up, right? The artist is Tsukioka Yoshitoshi, and the image is called The Foxwoman Kuzunoha Leaving Her Child. This was a late 19th century woodblock print. So, yeah, these books are a series of ghost stories, horror tales, in Japanese translated into English. This particular image is based on a Japanese folk tale. The woman here is a kitsune, which is a shape-shifting fox spirit, which is a feature of Japanese legend and folklore. And as you can see by the image behind the door panel here, I think it's quite a creepy image. I think it's very strange and mysterious and uncanny even, which is perfectly fitting the theme and the title of this book. I just really love this image. So there you go. Another Japanese woodblock print. Now I just need to finish us off with one more book. And we're going to finish off with something modern. This is a book I picked up and read last year. Jumpnauts by Hao Jingfang. So this is an English translation of a Chinese novel. So it was originally published in 2021. This is the Head of Zeus a translation published in 2024. The artist is Wei Tong Mai. So this is a kind of quirky space opera novel. I really love this cover image. It's so full of vitality and colour. We've got this awesome Chinese dragon, right? Who doesn't love a dragon? Powerful, majestic. It's kind of symbol of cosmic order. And then you've got this space background. You've got the satellite in the corner. It all adds to this kind of celestial grandeur, right? I think this is quite an elegant image. It's mythic, but futuristic at the same time. And I love the use of colours, the blues and the reds and the orange, and this amazing pagoda here. It's just a really nice cover. As soon as I saw this cover, again, I just knew I had to read it. I mean, it helps that I've read Hao Jingfang before and I enjoyed her work. It's interesting, if you compare this to the US edition, they're a totally different cover in the American edition, which has a totally different vibe, and in my opinion it's nowhere near as attractive as this one, the UK edition. I'll put an image up on screen for you to compare. Okay, and that completes the list. Those are all the covers I wanted to share. Thank you very much for watching. Now, if you enjoyed this kind of thing, definitely check out Richard. He made a playlist of these show us your covers videos. I'm going to link his playlist in the video description. You'll see more videos like this from different booktubers. Well worth checking out. Anyway, I'll see you again soon for some more sci-fi content.